I've surpassed you in herbalism. I've done it.
How? You must be hacking.
Hello everyone, you may be asking, HeroHidden47, where have you been all this time? Well, you see, I've been farming for weeks in Minecraft. This isn't a joke, it's a reference. So it all started when I realized my content isn't doing as good as it used to. So I thought to myself, what would be a good idea? Breaking a world record was the idea. Now, how would I do that? I realized I was number 71 in herbalism. Then I began to think even harder. Would I really be willing to spend literal hours of my life every day to become first place? Yes. Yes, I would. So I worked on my own farm for a while and I leveled up my rank on that, but I knew it wouldn't be enough. So I reached out to a friend for resources. Jess. She happened to have a huge wheat farm as well and doesn't seem to need most of her base. She told me I was allowed to use whatever I wanted, except for the Forbidden Cave. We don't talk about that. I also constructed another farm over by a separate area that I'm preparing for an upcoming video. Then there came to be another problem. Who was the #1 player and what did they have that I don't? So I found the leaderboard by typing /skills and right-clicking on the stone hub, herbalism. I discovered that Jan iOS was first place with a whopping level 1437. Somewhere around this time, I was only at level 300, so how was I supposed to beat him? But that leaves me with one true question. Are they working just as hard as me? I started playing on Kiwi SMP for over 10 hours every day just to get this record. I noticed Jan iOS didn't do a single thing about their level. Just when I was thinking I was in the clear, a new enemy was rising up the leaderboard. Their name was QCry. I didn't know much about this opponent I was up against, and so I did some investigating. So I hired someone to stalk them, and I found out QCry wanted to get first place. And we also found out he owned a huge melon farm and cocoa bean farm. QCry also just recently hit level 1000 in herbalism. This guy is more than double what I am in herbalism. But how on earth would I, someone who has just started to attempt to reach first place, succeed? That's when I noticed it. When you plant crops with a shield equipped, sometimes you accidentally pull up your shield instead of planting the crops. This slows me down a total of 0.40% from actually being able to farm more efficiently. Though it's a small number, I stopped using my shield when planting crops. I also noticed you don't level up when you plant crops, it's only when you gather them. So I got Jess and a couple other reoccurring players to replant the crops for me. Some of them I even asked to AFK near the crops so they could grow while I was at a separate farm of mine. I also ended up creating bone meal farms. It was basically a farm that involved a chest above a hopper, a composter below that hopper, another hopper below that composter, and a chest below that last hopper. All you would have to do is fill the top chest with anything that could go into a composter, and it would automatically come out as bone meal at the bottom. Then, all of a sudden, the best thing ever happened. The nether reset. The nether reset is when the entire nether gets completely wiped and then restored. This means that players can get more loot from the nether after over-harvesting the previous nether, such as netherwort, blaze rods, and especially netherite. This also meant that every player who was farming for first place would most likely stop farming so that they can get more netherite in the brand new nether. After all, that's like when something goes trending. Everyone will start doing it. So they'll always focus on their current priorities, while in the meantime, I would remain farming. I was going to have to go based on assumption to figure out how long it would take them to get back to farming. However, the nether did have a couple errors. Some people were still given the old nether, while other players could access the new nether. That forced staff to shut it down for a couple days, but I still caught way up. While meeting with a player who was willing to let me use their cocoa bean farm, my herbalism wasn't growing as much as wheat was helping me, but instead, it increased my farmer level. I asked staff what farmer level did, and they didn't even know. However, the higher your herbalism is, the more skills you can unlock. What skills, you may ask? Well, as I mentioned before, if you type /skills and left click on the herbalism, there are a couple of skills you can unlock depending on your level in herbalism. We've got Highly in Luck and Shroom Thumb. Both of these the player automatically gets for free, and they are farmer level 0. Next up is Double Drops, which requires farmer level 1. Then there is Green Terra, which requires level 50. Then there's the last two, Farmer's Diet and Green Thumb. Farmer's Diet requires level 200, and Green Thumb requires level 250. The one we need to focus on are Double Drops and Green Thumb. Double Drops, of course, doubles the drops of your items, and Green Thumb, the most important one, automatically replants items for you. However, there's only a chance they will do their part. I tried to figure out how to make that percentage go up, and realized every 10 levels in herbalism, I gain is equal to 1% in double drops and green thumb. So if I hit level 1000 herbalism, I would get green thumb to automatically replant for me 100% of the time. While I was in a call with Emma is Dying, I privately messaged QCry for his time zone. Why would I need to find out when QCry's time zone is? Well, you see, if I can figure out where QCry lives, I can find a way to take advantage of his time zone. I'll explain it better as you listen. QCry responded with GMT. Emma is Dying instantly recognized it as a time zone in England. I later discovered he also had school for another week, so all I had to do was play more often in the hours he was away, and I could speed on past him. Because he was in England, this also meant he was on European servers. European servers do not work well with lag, and therefore if someone on a computer in England were to receive lag, it forces a shutdown on their computer for usually 2 to 5 minutes. No, I didn't make a lag machine if you're wondering, but something even better happened. During this time I was racing QCry, a bot raid happened. It's when a player gets a bunch of robot alt accounts and logs them into a Minecraft server with the intention to create lag. This meant the European servers had to force a shutdown until all the bots were banned, which gave me an advantage. I am in American servers, therefore lag doesn't cause me too much of an issue. So I started grinding and soon got onto the leaderboard ranking 10th place. The only problem is that Ellie was off the leaderboard. If QCry found out I was grinding the leaderboard to first, I'd be screwed, so I changed my skin to Ellie's skin just to blend in. As long as his cursor didn't go over my player head, he wouldn't notice me, and then it happened. I hit 1000 in herbalism. Very shortly after, I found out from another player that moss is the best way to level up herbalism. It has been hardly known as a strategy only by a few players. It has been hidden for months and only 6 people know about it. 7 including me. Just making and sharing this video is a risk for me, and to the Kiwi SMP leaderboard. But then, Jess happened to reach out to me while I was farming small amounts of moss, only for her to share that she knows of a place with a lot of moss. And I mean a lot. She ended up showing me a big section of moss to help me reach first place in herbalism. While I climbed the leaderboard constantly changing my skin to disguise as other players, I was about to surpass QCry, but when I finally did, he happened to get home from school about 30 minutes later. So, I decided to start streaming and give QCry a call. This is where war begins. During the call, we ended up betting a netherite block in on whoever gets to first place first. And I don't really have enough netherite to afford that. Nevertheless, we raced at gathering the most moss, and I even turned on epic music for the stream.
Jess, quick, go find me another patch. Go find me another big patch of moss like this one. Please. Please, Jess.
When I was running out of moss, I called out to Jess to go and find me another big patch of moss. And then all of a sudden, Shadow1577 decides to appear for no reason. I told the chat I was going to need water, and Shadow1577 decides to literally place a bucket of water on me. So I mean, I guess that worked, but you know. But eventually, QCry looked as if he was in a hopeless situation and asked to teleport to me. As I was 10 levels away from first place, and he was at least 200. Yeah, that seems fair. So anyways, he forfeit when I was 5 levels away from winning and gave me my netherite block. Not only did I surpass my brand new arch nemesis QCry, but I also surpassed Jan iOS. The best part about this is, look at the chest!
Think fast, Chuckle Nuts!
But before you click off, there is still one final thing to be said. Even though I just got to first, I don't want to risk losing it. So I decided to grind even more so that Jan iOS would struggle to catch up. I have now officially reached a safe place to say, I am officially the #1 farmer in Kiwi SMP. I'm a god! No one can surpass me! I'm the power of God and anime on my side!
Wait,